Welcome back, everybody, to A Certain Point of View and our final episode of The Last of Us discussions here on the channel. We've gone through 9 episodes, and we have one more to discuss today, the season finale, which was called Look for the Light, rightfully titled Look for the Light. The whole crew is here to discuss this episode. Very, very excited to dive into this and what could be coming for season 2. We'll get into a little bit later. But we're going to break down the episode here to start this episode off. Let's see how everybody is doing today. I'll just go around the table, see how the crew is doing. Brian, I'll start with you. How is your Tuesday, sir?
Not bad. Had a migraine, so I didn't do anything. Hence why I never even text you back.
Thanks for acknowledging that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I just sat and in the darkness and watched Vox Machina, and that's
a good thing to watch.
So yeah, other than that, nothing. It's so weird for you and I because it was like the apocalypse of all storms, and now it's like crystal blue skies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's still raining. We're in the.
You're catching yesterday's rain, Jill, from us, but I'll right now it's nice and sunny, so you're getting that tomorrow.
My mom called me 3 times today, being like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like,
"No,
yeah, I'm just watching TV."
No, I'm not, but I'm safe.
No.
Jill, how about you?
Good. I love rain, but I'm kind of sick of having a storm every other week. I live in Southern California. I didn't sign up for this. I don't
in the contract you sign when you
I don't pay a lot of the cost of living here is really expensive because the weather is nice. So I'm like, why is this happening? So that's kind of obnoxious, but what are you gonna do?
All
right. Molly, how is that packing come along?
I've just started thinking about it. I'm in the preliminary stages of actually packing, so getting all the little travel size bottles and figuring out what I'm going to wear, how many pairs of shoes I'm going to bring. It's I hate this part.
Molly asked me, we were going on a walk, she was like, "Are you going to bring those shoes?" I was like, "Yep." She was like, "You going to bring any other shoes?" I was like, "Probably not." And she was like,
"No, you said I don't know."
Yeah, that's a probably not.
That's a male thing, I feel like.
And then Molly's like, "I think I'm going to bring a pair of boots." And then she went, "It's going to be 2 boots." And then you kept adding the amount of boots you're going to bring.
It'll be at least 4 pairs of shoes.
If there were room, I would bring more shoes, but I know you need that flexibility.
For all of you, bringing 2 huge suitcases plus carry-ons. You can bring some nice shoes.
I need my walking shoes, my comfy shoes, and I only have the 1 pair.
Alex, how about you? Are you doing all right today?
Yeah, I mean, Molly and I just started stressing each other out about celebration and oh God.
We keep looking at the calendar and being like, oh my God, it's so close.
Yeah. So close. And there's just going to be so much happening. The Bad Batch ends right before we leave, and there's just going to be a ton to do. And so we're going to spend all next week preparing for the week after. But it's fine because there won't be any more Last of Us, which is sad, but we won't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. You're muted, Brian. Thank you.
I was like, that's how it'll work by clicking that. And no.
Yeah. StreamYard just being dumb.
Yeah. So everybody watching, just real quick, StreamYard, there's some kind of glitch going on. So we don't see anybody's comments on the actual platform. So we can't. Alex just backed himself out.
Everything is breaking.
Alex is like, I can't see the comments. I'm out.
I thought I would test because I'm not in control. A refresh will fix it. So,
a refresh does fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so are we all backing out at okay? Ryan's gone.
One at a time.
Slowly but surely.
Jake, just make sure you refresh when someone else is talking. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna have to.
Oh wait, I'll go. Right. I'll go next. Hold on.
I'll go last. I will go last.
I'm gonna go now.
This is fun. This is fun.
This is so stupid.
StreamYard is normally very reliable, but every once in a while it really poops the bed.
And I feel like now that's just me overthinking it.
Does
you
a
look
refresh
better
fix
now?
your face?
Yeah.
Forever. What the hell is happening over here? There we go. Goodness.
Back.
Okay, me next.
So stupid.
See, we could have just
Yeah,
kept
you're
on
making us-
talking and like.
Making us look like amateurs over here. God, thanks, StreamYard.
Bye, Jake.
Bye.
Bye, Jake.
How do we block him from coming back in?
Everyone leave.
No.
Let's all leave. And
That would be so
I'll be
funny.
like, oh no, it's worse now.
That would be so funny.
Did
There.
it.
All right. Alex, thank you for testing. Appreciate it.
Good job, Alex.
All right, let's dive into the episode. We've wasted enough time. Let's talk about this finale. Very straight to the point episode. We had some really good moments, obviously, between Joel and Ellie, especially at the very beginning. And it's clear that Ellie is just a little different because of the previous events that are happening. They didn't clarify on how much time did pass, but we did see a little bit time pass, obviously, because there's no snow on the ground. But before we get to all that, let's talk about the very, very beginning of the episode. We see the birth of Ellie. We get to see Ashley Johnson. That's her name, correct? Ashley Johnson?
Yes.
The voice actor for Ellie perform and play Ellie's mother in a great opening scene, tragic opening scene that I think everyone's been looking forward to from the very beginning. So Jill, I will start with you, and then everyone just kind of fire it off, jump into the conversation. What did you think about this opening scene?
First of all, it was really trippy because I started the episode like thinking that it starts with like the title card for some reason, like because it hasn't done that all season. So I don't know why when you push play, the title card just appears. So I was like, I'm gonna go get my food out of the kitchen, and then I kept hearing Ellie making like these screaming, grunting noises. I'm like, what the heck is she doing? What's going on? Only to like come in and see that it's Ashley Johnson. So I was like, oh, I had this like weird mind trip where it was Ellie, but not Ellie. But so that was interesting. I'm so glad they brought her on because Ashley Johnson needs to be in more things because she is just so great at everything she does.
Yeah.
I mean, she's so busy with Critical Role right now that she's probably won't be doing a whole lot, but it was just so nice to see her. Yeah, she's let's see, her and Laura Bailey were in this episode. She's Pike. So she's Pike.
Laura Bailey plays my favorite character.
Got it.
Yeah, she's Pike in Vox Machina, and she's also Ellie in the video games. So it was good to see exactly how Ellie is immune, and it was interesting to see the parallels too of Ashley lying to Marlene. To the mom lying to Marlene about how I cut the cord before I was bit, which not true.
Yeah.
To what happens with Joel and Ellie later, like kind of like that parallel of lying in a way. Yeah, I loved this scene. Very heartbreaking, sad, but it was good to see it.
It didn't even cross my mind like the entire time when I learned, and I don't know what episode it was or like at what point we were talking about it on the show, of learning the birth of Ellie and seeing the scene play out and everything. It never even crossed my mind that like the mom would be bit and then she would be born, affecting her blood, obviously. But like what a smart way to do it. Like it just makes sense. It just makes sense that would be the case.
Molly brought it up while we were watching it, and we were like, "Oh my god, is this a Blade situation?"
Yeah,
Basically.
it just makes total sense, and that's a great reference. I didn't even think about that. Thank you, Alex, for bringing that up. But yeah, I mean, I thought the scene was very well done. It was also just extremely tragic, terrifying clicker, just absolutely terrifying clicker. Especially like you're pregnant. This clicker is coming charging at you, and then you give birth. Like, what a couple moments for that.
Didn't
woman.
even realize she gave birth. The adrenaline was so high.
What a couple moments for that woman. But and then the way it ends and everything is just sad as well. But I love that they did that scene, and I think that it's very, very important for obvious reasons. Rather than just like talking about it in a few sentences or whatever, showing it because it also plays with the character of Marlene as well into what happens later on in the episode. Yeah, great open. One of the good opens of this series, which there's been a bunch of them, but one of the better ones for sure.
I love
It was
that
just
she-
nice to see because it was something new that we didn't get from the game, and I loved hearing Neil talk about it with Craig because he said that Craig basically asked Neil if he'd ever thought about how Ellie was born, and Neil was like, "Yep." And he told the story, and they had plans to make it into like an animated short or a short story or something, and that kept falling through. And so, but he told Craig the story of like why Ellie is immune and how she was born, and Craig was like, "Yeah, we're doing that." He was so pumped about it. I thought that was a great little story, and I'm glad that it is something that Neil's had in his mind for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that they gave birth to the character. Like literally, like
Mhm.
she's the voice actress. She literally like birthed the character.
Literally.
that was a
Mhm.
very like Inception moment if you really
Mhm.
think about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I was actually surprised that they showed this, that they gave us a look at why Ellie is immune, because they don't ever talk about that in the game. She's just immune. No explanation. So I like,
Really?
yeah.
Okay, that interests me. For either like for both games, there's no explanation or answer as to why she is immune.
Nope.
Huh.
And there doesn't
Interesting.
really need to be, in
Mm-mm.
my
Yeah.
opinion. But
No.
so, and for me, I think this scene works the best for Marlene, because now we kind of get a little glimpse as to why Marlene cares about Ellie at all, and why she's been, working so hard to protect her, not just for the idea of a vaccine, but because her and her mom had history, and like she was there at the birth. And so I liked that scene particularly for Marlene, but I just liked that they gave us a reason in general. And yeah, I like the Blade reference because I like
So
Blade a
good.
lot.
Blade is awesome. It's a great reference.
Molly, do you have the chat open?
I do.
Did you see Brian's comment saying better to be like Blade than the creepy kid from Twilight?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Renesmee, ugh.
Oh God.
Yeah. I just love that they're like, this show is being done so like with so much thought and like care into it. The fact that that I'm aware of, every main character in the game, the voice actor had a role. Am I wrong? Did anyone not have one? Like at least the main
At least
one.
3.
The main characters, I think, yeah.
Technically,
Well, is it
4.
Marlene voices Marlene
Oh
in
yeah,
the game,
there's
right?
5. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, like you were very important to and integral to the part of this game and this show. Like you may not be the character, but you still deserve to be in the show.
Well,
And
it
I
was-
think that's
It was
just so-
mocapped. It was mocapped for the video game, so they kind of were
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
character in a way,
It's
Neil
just-
talked about
Yeah.
just how much Ellie was inspired by Ashley as well. That
Mhm.
she suggested things for cutscenes that they wound up using. Ellie's love of space is because Ashley loves space. So just all that stuff that they were like, yeah, we want to honor Ashley. And on the podcast, she talks about getting that call because like she and Troy thought they might get to do something small. Troy was like, I bet I'll get to be a clicker and that'll be fun. But that they let them like really have significant roles, and like Troy gets I guess they both get awesome deaths, but
yeah.
It's just cool. I mean, you don't see that very often, like comic book movies. Like you're not seeing like the creator other than Stan Lee, but like
in every single one.
Yeah, but like I mean, it's hard to credit certain people for certain things. So it's like when you can, and this is an area that you could do that pretty easily. Why not? Like it just makes it a little better, I think, in my opinion. Oh my God.
Okay, before we get into some stuff with Joel and Ellie as far as just kind of traveling through Salt Lake City, the giraffe scenes, stuff like that, we did get a super chat. I'm not gonna be able to show it like I mentioned in the chat, but I'll just go ahead and read it. So this one's from Tim Sim. Tim, thank you so much. And he says, how should season 1 of The Last of Us be used rightly as a measuring stick when comparing future video game adaptations, Mario movie, God of War, Fallout, BioShock, Halo Season 2, etc.?
Last of Us, the series, is doing pretty good with staying true to like the source material and while adding twists to it. So like Halo didn't do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Sean complained every episode how this
I wasn't a fan of Halo at all.
Yeah, how it was not like the game at all. And
I watched one episode and was like,
yeah, we dropped off that real quick. Having good actors, having number one, like that's a big one because like the acting in this is great. The writing, they actually had the writers of the video game come in to write the show, which I think is a huge deal.
The money for it.
Well, also keep with that in mind, like the show writer, and this doesn't have to be for everything, but that writer was open to changes, which there's a lot of the time where creators might not be open to changes. And so that definitely helps the source material.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how cinematic the Mario movie is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that one being true to the games.
Did everyone see that SNL skit that they did with Pedro Pascal where he played Mario?
Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
Just make that the movie.
Yeah, honestly.
We don't need any of that other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to Joel and Ellie. So we picked back up in Salt Lake City
really quickly to Tim's. If they up BioShock,
I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm coming for heads.
I'm gonna be.
I'm coming.
I'm
for
gonna be
heads.
livid if they screw up BioShock.
Yeah,
interesting.
Freaking livid.
Heads will roll.
We'll see. We'll see when that happens.
And it's Netflix, so it makes me a little nervous. Not gonna lie.
All right, so we pick back up in present day with Joel and Ellie, and again, like I said up top, there's not really a definition on how long there has been since we last saw them. It's been at least a little bit. No snow on the ground. But Ellie's just very different, clearly. She's gone through an experience, a little bit more reserved, a little bit more quiet. Joel kind of breaks through the shell just a tad bit by bringing out the pun book. You know, they're working their way through the city. I love that moment where Ellie kind of predicts what's going to happen, and Joel pulls that moment on her, like, no, that's not what we're going to do. But that's actually what they do. So yeah, I'm gonna just pose a question and then take them outside. So Alex, I'll let you start. What did you think about everything before they got captured by the Fireflies? The giraffe scene, the moment between them, everything in Salt Lake before we saw the hospital sequence. Outside of
the Ashley Johnson's cold open, this was probably almost the most faithful episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's one significant change about the Firefly capture that we can talk about later, but everything up until that point was basically just what happens in the game, down to like Joel needing her help to get the ladder.
Yeah.
And her not hearing.
We made a comment of the fact that the dirt falls from like where she gets boosted. We're like, that's very video game, like the falling of the dust.
Well, there's also like, that's a game mechanic where, hey, there's a ladder up there, boost Ellie up, she'll get the ladder for you. And then at that moment in the game where she is like processing all of her trauma, you go over and you press triangle to do the boost, and you wait and you wait and you're like, where is it? You have to move the camera to be like, what's going on? And she's just sitting over there and you're like, Ellie, like, what's happening here? You have to get her attention. But the giraffe scene was also very faithful. Just about everything.
I have a question because I played the game, but I didn't play it all the way through. But I distinctly remember the giraffe scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just the giraffe scene happened this late in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, I don't know how I distinctly remember this giraffe scene then, but
I had the same
too.
Yeah. I had the same reaction replaying it for like the 5th time a couple months ago, and I was still like, when are the giraffes? Like I forgot it was it was so late.
Distinctly remember the giraffes. Okay, then I'm not going crazy.
Also, there are a lot of little giraffe Easter eggs you can find throughout the whole season, I think. I just remember seeing it. I think Sarah's got a giraffe poster. I think you see a stuffed giraffe somewhere in the series. Like just little nods to that.
That's cute.
Cute.
That's super cute.
Brian Ward, if I could bring up your comment right now, I would bring it up immediately. He said, I wish Joel would have brought up the fact that half the world would have refused the vaccine anyway.
Oh my god.
Well, Joel didn't have to live through COVID, so
No,
he
he
wouldn't have
didn't.
known. Yeah, he probably would have thought.
Oh, that was S tier.
Has everyone mentioned or talked about the sequence so far before the Fireflies?
The giraffe.
The giraffes.
Well, just the giraffes, but just the whole thing in general.
I mean, I definitely made a comment to Sean about how the dynamic between Joel and Ellie definitely switched in this episode. Like Joel's the one that's like all happy and like let's read the pun book, and and Ellie's just laser focused, like emotionless. She's in her own head. So that was an interesting dynamic of really seeing them like do pretty much a 180 on each other.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it, and not to get too far ahead, but I definitely feel like it's kind of not really a tease, but almost a feeling of what kind of Ellie we're going to get in season 2 when we do eventually pick back up with them because of the experience that they just went through again. And that we'll talk about the end conversation as we get later in the episode. But I could see this Ellie happening a lot more than the Ellie we've obviously seen just because she's gone through so much recently. Yeah, I thought the whole sequence was great. It was kind of nice to just get like a slowed down, quiet time with them because they have gone through so much recently, right? That we had 2 episodes. We had the episode where they went to, they were in Colorado, and then we had an episode of just Ellie. Joel's basically sitting on a mattress, and obviously the whole David stuff. So it was nice to have some quiet time between the 2 of them. And again, like Jill just mentioned, but seeing a different Joel and kind of bringing out the light in her a little bit. But yeah, then we get to the Firefly stuff, and this is where everything starts to pick back up. They're basically bombarded. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know how it was done in the game, but when that camera turned and you see them sneaking up behind them, my heart just like dropped because I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, obviously, I have no idea what's happening. I didn't think that they were going to die or anything, but like something crazy, like whether it was bandits or if it was in fact the Fireflies, really well done shot. Seeing all that play out, and then all hell breaks loose. But let's not get too far ahead. I want to talk about the Marlene stuff specifically right here, the conversation they had in the hospital room, because that is pretty much where we pick back up after everything kind of gets crazy.
Real quick, I'll toss out something that I really liked that moment with the Firefly running out. Like, I wasn't expecting that because it's different from the game. It made Molly gasp. So I thought that was all great. It does. I think that what happens in the game would have been too hard to pull off, too expensive, lots of different things. Basically, they try to go underground to get under this bridge, and it's very flooded, and Ellie can't swim. Joel actually goes under, and Ellie saves him, but then she's underwater, and then you have to rescue her, but she's basically drowning. You pull her out, and then she is unconscious, and Joel's giving her CPR, and then the Fireflies come up.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they're like, show us your hands. And he's like, I can't. She's not breathing.
I'm trying to help someone not die.
Oh my God.
So that I do like
And
that
then
a
it kind
little
of
more.
cuts to the next scene, right?
Yeah, they walk up and hit him in the head. And then it's the same.
Before he's able to resuscitate her
Yeah,
in the game.
so-
and you're
Oh
like,
my God.
"Wow."
So I kind of like that Ellie was unconscious for all of the Firefly stuff. In the show, the fact that she is taken in awake, it just raised some questions for me, but we can address those in a second.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about the Marlene sequence, because this is the one where we pick right back up, and we get all this information just thrown at us. Marlene's breaking everything down about how Ellie is immune, how it kind of works inside her brain, the reveal that they're basically going to kill her and take everything from her and try to make a vaccine. And obviously Joel didn't know this, and he's trying to break it all up and get someone else, find someone else. It's not that important. Lines have changed from when they first did the whole thing in the episode 1, when Marlene first gave Ellie to Joel. Relationships have changed. Joel and Ellie's relationship specifically has changed, and it just breaks Joel. And before we get to the whole fighting and everything, I want your guys' thoughts on the reveals, how it works, Marlene's coldness towards her, even though, she basically raised Ellie. she still has to do this for the greater of mankind per se. Quotes around that because arguments up if that's actually the case or not.
I don't know what she expected. Like she basically was like, "Cool, thanks, Joel."
Yeah.
Anyways, they should have handcuffed him to something very strong before he woke up. If they
Well,
yeah,
I
I
think-
feel like
think
Marlene
she
would have known
knew.
to send 6 guys instead of 2 with him.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, that was the issue.
Yeah.
Like I think that she probably thought, yeah, Joel just sees her as cargo. Like you did the job, well done.
yeah, like
thank
it
you
didn't
for
change
that.
him at all. Yeah.
And then when he's like, find someone else, she's like, uh-oh.
Oh
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
So yeah, two people was the mistake, Marlene.
Send the whole squad. Don't send just 2. Like this guy's
Yeah.
history.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed that they said a lot more about what was going to happen and about Ellie's immunity and what they were going to do with these certain cells. Where I was in the game, it's a little bit more like, hopefully we can get a vaccine. Watching this, I was like, oh, they can do it. Like,
Get a vaccine?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't think that at all.
I did.
Really?
Well,
I did.
because
Like-
and what's funny is I had these thoughts last night, and then I saw them more on my TikTok today. But
Oh, TikTok.
I know, but so this was my thoughts too, because I'm going, okay, so this doctor, he looks maybe, I mean, he has a mask on. He looks maybe like early 40s. This has been going on for 20 years. So dude was 25 when this first happened. So like, where has he been? What was he doing? Like, where was he working?
Maybe he was a child prodigy, Jill.
I mean, but also 2023.
It's
in
Doogie
this
Howser
day-
under there.
It's
Joel killed
Doogie
Doogie
Howser.
Howser.
Patrick Harris takes the mask off. He starts singing. It's 2023 now, and we don't have vaccines for fungal infections. We have antibiotics, but we don't have vaccines for fungal infections, which this
But
is a fungal infection.
have we ever actually killed someone to try brain?
Why would you?
That's what I'm saying though.
To save the world, Jill.
I'm team John,
have we
team
gone
Joel
to that
on
point
this.
where they're literally going to cut someone open and use the brain rather than just like blood cells or
But then have it
something like that?
probably maybe not work.
I
Like,
feel like
for sure. Like there's probably like a 90 or like I'd say like an 80% chance it doesn't work. But I agree with Alex. Like I was listening to them explain it and I'm like, ooh, this sounds this sounds legit. Like this sounds like something that could actually happen.
And maybe I'm leaning that way because in the game they don't say any details. And the fact that they gave me a few details here, I was like, oh, this sounds more likely than it did in the game.
I got the feeling that Marlene was being overly confident about what they were planning to do, because if she thinks that it's not going to work, she can't deal with the fact that she's just going to kill Ellie for nothing. So I took it as they still don't know if this is going to work, but Marlene is telling Joel very confidently because for both of them, like they need to know that this will work.
Literally, it was like her kind of doing that, like this will work, like where it's like, who are you trying to convince, them or you?
It'll work because if it doesn't, I'll never be able to live with myself.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of has to, right? Like it seemed like Ellie's mother was not maybe like a best friend, but they had known each other for ever since childhood. Maybe they were best friends. I mean, to kill your best friend's daughter for this is kind of a big deal. So
well, and I'm going through the chat too, and people are bringing up the fact that Ellie woke up going, drugs? What drugs? So I think she was brought in unconscious. So they didn't ask her.
That's the question I have, because we see her getting dragged away. Maybe they knocked her out. I got the sense that no, she had to have come in conscious because she knew Marlene was there. Ellie straight up asks about Marlene. So, but that's my question of like, what did they do to Ellie?
I think it's like I think they told her it was like a typical regular surgery, like they're gonna extract some blood or something, and they have to knock her out to do it.
That would
100%.
They definitely didn't tell her the truth. Like,
and Marlene said that she was like, we didn't tell her. She's not scared. She's not gonna feel anything.
And that's not okay because
nope.
She's got to give consent to be like.
Even in the apocalypse, you need to give consent.
Consent matters, especially if she's gonna die for this. She needs to be able to say, "I'm okay." To do this.
I think that was like another selfish thing that Marlene probably did. Just like do it, don't ask questions, do it now, because if
If
she
she
got the
says
chance
no,
to,
like-
what if she says no, or if she gets the chance to be able to like say her goodbyes, who knows
happening.
how many people would snap and be like, no, we can't do this.
Yeah. Well, what pissed
So-
me off with it too was that when Marlene was like, "What would like you took her away, and we both know she wouldn't want that." It's like, do you know? Do you know that? Did you ask her? Like, how do you know that? That's like, how do you know she would want to sacrifice
Yeah.
herself? Like, don't just assume, Marlene.
Is there as much detail about all of this in the game as there was in the show, or is it vague in the game?
About the vaccine or what?
As like her being knocked out to essentially be sacrificed, how it works, like how she's immune, etc.
No, nothing about her immunity, nothing about the science of what they're going to do. I think she just says like they're gonna take her brain and we'll find a vaccine.
Got it.
But yeah, she comes in half drowned and unconscious, and they stabilize her, but then immediately stick her in surgery. So
Got it.
like,
Okay.
Ellie doesn't know what happened even remotely at the hospital.
Yeah, so she in the game she basically remembers essentially drowning and then waking up in a hospital.
In a hospital gown, yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right, let's get to the big shebang.
Did you want
Big
to do
shebang.
the chat?
Oh, yes, thank you, Brian. Sorry. It's so weird on not having StreamYard being able to read this. Mr. Shu. Thank you, Mr. Shu. Literally a perfect finale. I was afraid they would chicken out on how brutally they portrayed Joel, but they didn't shy away from it all. Speaking of that, thank you so much for the segue, Mr. Shu. Appreciate it. Daddy Joel to the rescue, man. This is incredible stuff. You just know, like, I'm sorry, but ever since like Daredevil and stuff, every time I see a stairwell or a hallway, it's game on.
It's
like
just
it's just
down.
full on game on. You know something crazy is about to happen. 100% I am. I'll flat out say that. I'm totally a hoe for stairwells and hallways. Absolutely.
This was some Terminator stuff.
Yeah, like you just know something is about to happen. And like I knew it was about to get crazy, and I could have thought about it as, you know, if I really put my mind to it and thought about it, but I didn't realize how brutal they were going to show him. Like getting answers. Okay, I don't have time for this. Shoot you in the head. Like, see ya. I'm on to the next guy. And I know that's how it works in the game because you obviously have to get to a certain point in the game. But
oh yeah, you're like bashing people's heads in with a brick in the game if you have to.
I just
worst part about the
loved
show,
it.
not a single brick, no brick kills.
How
No
dare.
bricks.
Although he
I
gutted someone, he gutted
I'm
someone.
so upset
in
that
the
they
episode.
didn't have half a scissor, like, and someone gets to like that was.
Is that a thing in the game? What?
Yeah,
Isn't that?
I mean, you find things to craft like shivs or Molotov cocktails. And
I loved it. I thought the gunfight and everything I thought was very cool. It just shows how like Joel. I know we talked about it during the episode with Tommy about how like Joel isn't as strong as he was before. The dude's still pretty badass.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's still pretty badass and he does some damage and he ain't afraid of nobody. But I loved right before we saw him get Ellie, they had a bunch of cameras of just all the dead bodies everywhere. Oh, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It was great.
It happens so quickly, I feel like. Because, like, in the game, that takes a long time, and you mow down so many people, but I understand...
And you're crouching the whole time.
Yeah, I understand that they're not going to, you know, spend 20, 25 minutes showing
Man, I would have
Joel
loved that.
massacre
That would have been incredible.
so many more people. But, the whole episode happens so fast, and this part in particular just happened really quickly. But I think it had the same effect, especially with the music that they played.
I thought it was even more effective.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the game, I mean, you're playing it and you're like, I gotta get to Ellie, but it's a lot more action because you're running and gunning and you're doing all these things. I loved that they presented it like very tragically.
It was somber.
Yeah, the sad music. Like this isn't. I didn't think they showed him as a hero at all.
No.
I thought this was like, oh, this dude is just like desperate and disassociated and like he just emotionlessly pulls out that switchblade and you're like, oh my god, like I liked the way they shot it a lot.
It was
I love like the
in
muffled
the game.
I love like the
that's also
muffled
true.
sounds, like how quiet it got, but then you heard the music over everything.
Yeah,
it was
it shows, like what Alex said, just how disassociated he is. You know, he's got blinders on, he's focused, he doesn't he's not even hearing the carnage that he's creating. He's just so focused on reading signs and finding Ellie, and that's all.
I love it. I love it.
And the fact that it ended up being in the pediatric care wing, that was dark. Like, why is it gotta be in the child care wing? Like, that just makes it sad.
It's where all the small tools are and the small
all the bebes.
small things.
I love the reference. Maddie says in the chat, it's a great reference. He went full berserker mode. He went Wolverine on everybody. He just completely shut the blinders off and just went to town. That was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Brian?
Oh no, I mean, what else is to say? You went ham. Like, I imagine some like Mission Impossible music, just like he's just kind of going through, taking out people. But yeah, I don't know. This episode throws a lot for you to ponder. Like, it's
a thinking episode.
Yeah, it leaves you questioning, like, was that the right move? Or was it not the right move? Is it the right move to save her, knowing that there is a chance that you could save the world? But if you're wrong, you murdered the one person that you cared about is now dead, and you could have stopped it. It's rough.
Yeah.
Like, and I love the people going back and forth in the chat, because I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Oh, but
that's what I love about it, is it's this dilemma of what would you do, and it's and someone said that I don't think there is a right answer, and that's
it's called a dilemma for a reason.
Yeah.
When the game originally came out, was it as kind of a split conversation as the show is right now? Did the same conversation?
I never got online to find out. I just played the game, and
I mean, you didn't really have a choice, so probably not as much.
Okay.
Like,
no, I think people. Well, according to the podcast, yes, it was causing a lot of conversation. When they were play testing it, Druckmann said that they asked people at the end, like, "What do you think about Joel's decision? Was it the right decision or wrong?" And they said, people without kids, it was a 50-50 split. People who had kids, 100% of them were like, he did the right thing.
Wow. Which, I mean, that makes sense.
And from my experience, the second Marlene was like, she's in surgery and she's going to die, I was like, fuck no, she's not. And like, I kicked that door into that hospital. I didn't let the doctor say a word. I shot him and I ran. Like, I had no regrets about the way I played that game.
Guns ablazing.
It's such a thinker, because it's like, I mean, you could easily just put yourself like in the situation, like, if you were responsible for someone else's kid out of the four of us, what would you do in that situation? It's like, would you just be like, this might be a cure, here's Jill's kid? Or like, it's hard to think, like,
because and then it's the dilemma of, maybe they do make a vaccine, and then that's great. But then there's the possibility, the higher, in my opinion, probability that they can't make a vaccine. And it's like, well, cool. We just sacrificed the one person pretty much keeping me wanting to live on this world, and now she's gone. For what?
Joel,
I think
in my opinion,
it's easy to sit back and be like, Joel made the wrong decision. But like, if you were in his shoes and it was, you got to give up your child for the rest of the world, it's like, no, like it's a whole different argument.
I think
would you sacrifice my child for it?
Say it. What?
If you were in the situation, would you sacrifice my child for it? Would you say
no? Like, I think the viewpoint of it's, so yes, he could have saved the world, but he saved his world.
Exactly.
Like, I think he saved everything that matters to him right now.
And in this kind of universe, you got to be a little selfish sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
That's
everyone
is the selfish decision for sure.
Yeah. Which tracks, because like what I was saying earlier, I think Marlene was being selfish by just rushing into all of this and being so confident with Joel about the fact that it would work.
I think, both of them are wrong, because neither of them asked Ellie what she wanted.
Exactly.
Yes, that's 100%.
Well, and 100%. Neither of them had this wasn't like, this was what the end result will be. It was a chance on both sides. So
I have like a morbid question though.
Oh God.
Do it.
Yay.
I
Do it.
wonder if it ever crossed Marlene's mind that she could find more pregnant people and test this theory.
Well, then you gotta infect.
Save the world.
I mean, that's
Yeah, they were willing to sacrifice Ellie.
I'm like,
what would you rather sacrifice, a child or an adult?
But
I mean, she could possibly find a volunteer. You never know, like it's one of those things that I was like,
Yeah,
has
that's
this never
true.
happened to
You
anyone
pretty
else?
much will always find someone dumb enough to do it. Like,
people volunteered for the Hunger Games,
people
so-
volunteered to get shipped off to Mars and live on Mars until they
Yeah.
die.
And
In the
I
real
know
world right now. So I mean,
I know Marlene didn't see what happened, and the fact that Anna told her that like she cut it before, but even then,
she
when she
knew.
grows up,
yeah.
when she knows, but even if she didn't, I say test both theories. Find some pregnant people that will like sign a waiver.
Have a test group.
Oh man!
Just,
oh goodness!
There's gotta be a way.
I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, they could just test this out and see what happens. Like,
Yeah.
As Laserbolt says in the chat, someone terminally ill might love to go out as a hero.
Exactly. How old is Ellie at this point? It's
14, I think. Right?
It's been
Ellie's
14 years, and Marlene has done nothing with that information.
That's true.
See, the thing is, though, also now that information is now dead. Like no one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
The person that knows now.
everyone in that
killed.
hospital is gonzo.
The only person that knows
is everybody
why.
in that hospital gone?
Maybe.
Did you not see the pile of
Yeah,
nonsense
but
that Joel?
I'm
Probably all the
curious on,
doctors.
like,
Oh, the two
I-
nurses.
yeah, I mean, there's a couple nurses
That's fair.
which know what's going on, and I actually wanted to bring it back to because Alex, you had said that you went right into that room and shot the doctor right away. Someone in the chat asked, "Did Alex kill the nurses too? Did you kill the nurses in the game as well?"
I don't think so because they didn't. They did what they did in the show.
We did test out the theory of like what would happen if you just walk into the room and don't immediately kill the doctor, and the doctor comes at you with a scalpel
Yeah.
eventually, and
he
then
kills you.
I think Joel just auto
Pokes
kills
you to
him.
Well, what happened this most recent time is he has the scalpel and he didn't approach, but nothing was happening. So I moved a little closer, and then it gave me the prompt triangle, and I was like, okay, and I hit that, and Joel takes the scalpel and stabs him. I was like, oh no, all right, I didn't know.
I love that the doctor like ran at the Joel, took 2 steps back, grabbed the little knife, ran back up to Joel, and just goes like, come on, dude. He's got a gun in his hand. It's obviously not going to help you in that situation.
You're gone.
But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if there was much to talk about.
Jake, John
specifically.
Wick would beg to differ if that was the case.
Well, he's not. The doctor's not John Wick, Brian.
You don't know.
So yeah, we get that scene where Joel saves Ellie, just kills the doctor. The nurses are fine, but then we get the sequence with Marlene in the parking garage, which is cut back and forth as Joel is telling Ellie what happened, but then we're seeing what really happened not in real time, but seeing the little flashbacks of it. Curious, was this told the same way as the game? Did it kind of cut back and forth between the two? It did.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought it was very effective
Mhm.
in the way that they were telling it. Seeing the way that Joel was telling it, and then just seeing his absolute brutality against Marlene in that situation, I thought it was great. And then him trying to basically lying to Ellie about it all, and telling her something completely different about how they're not trying for the vaccine anymore, that there's more people just like her, and she ain't buying a second of it. It's clear that she's not buying a second of it. So yeah, what did we think about the Marlene sequence, the parking garage? Marlene's bye-bye. Joel does what he needs to do. Thoughts on that?
I love that he finally learned how to get out of a situation where a gun's being shot or pointed at him. It's like, not this time, bitch. Like, it's like the third time that this has happened. He's like, I know how to get out of this situation now. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good bookend to the
Mhm.
first episode of him carrying Sarah.
Yeah.
But because I knew what was coming, I don't think it really struck me that hard. I was just like, okay, and then he kills Marlene, and I was looking more forward to the conversation in the car than this, but it still stung, I guess.
I love the absolute how they showed just how serious he was with it when he had the chance to let Marlene go. Like, she's bleeding out, but she's still alive, and he was like, nah, right between the eyes. Like, he just gave zero fucks at that point.
Did they play did you hear the gunshot and then it panned down to see that he had the gun, or was that?
No, it showed him shooting her.
Okay.
I think she's talking, and then you see like a flash, and she reacts, and then
you don't see where the gun is until another scene a little bit later on, where the gun is exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, very well done.
That was all basically from the game, except I guess because she was conscious for part of the hospital stuff in the show, him adding in like, oh, and then we were attacked by raiders, and I barely got you out of there. I was like, oh, that's different. That's new.
Yeah, it got more elaborate as he was talking about it, which is why I think Ellie is like,
yep, he went too far.
You can totally tell that she's kind of like, I don't know if I buy it, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, let's kind of get into that a little bit. They get to, and I forget the name of Tommy's town.
Jackson.
What is it? Jackson. So we get to Jackson. They're just a few miles away from Jackson, and we get that moment on the cliff. Ellie, asks, "Are you telling me the truth?" And he says yes, and she says, "Okay," cuts to black. Very interesting sequence. Obviously, probably going to lead into what's going to happen in season 2. What do we think about this moment? And I know that Alex and Molly, you probably, I don't know if it's the same exact in the game or not. I don't know if it played out the exact same way. It did. Okay.
It is.
What do we all think about this? How is this clear? We already said that Ellie doesn't buy it. Her BS meter is like all-time high. Like, it's the greatest BS meter I've ever seen for a 14-year-old. How is this going to affect things? Because clearly it's going to come out at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it's right away, whether it's later on down the road, it is going to come out. And
this is a recipe for some serious shit to show up way down the line, like years later. Because like they both know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that has to come out at some point. And to have to keep all that in, it's not going to go well for either of them.
Yeah, it'll definitely be, well, just the perfect cliffhanger to end to people, so people know that there is a season 2 happening. Like, so great.
Well, it's interesting,
and a possible season 3.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we knew there would be a second game for a while. I don't know if that was a.
I don't know how I would feel if the game ended that way and I didn't know there was going to be a sequel. I would have been like,
when did the second game come out?
Like 5 years
2020?
later.
2021? It was
so 6 or 7 years later.
I think it was 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. What a cliffhanger. So that's exactly how it ended. She said okay and it cut to black?
Yep.
Wow. The balls on them to do that on a video game.
And to me, if they didn't make a second game, I was like, that was an awesome story. I'm really glad they did make a second game, and it's awesome. And don't listen to anyone who tells you otherwod. I saw Neil Druckmann today. Someone was like, "Are you going to change anything about season 2? Because do you care about the backlash?" And he was like, "No."
Good.
I don't give a shit.
Good.
No, because they've been through it all before, and they're.
I know it'll be easier this time. And there should not be backlash to that game. It makes some bold decisions, but it's awesome.
Okay.
I'm excied. Because I don't know much about the second game.
Well,
so.
I didn't know anything until a couple days ago, but we're not getting into that anymore.
Would you like another soapbox?
Yeah, I mean, if you give me the time. So look, obviously the one thing that I knew going into second game is that there's a time jump. I'm curious on if they do in fact do a time jump for season 2, which is debatable how they can play this. Obviously they could, or they don't have to. There's always ways to do things, but how their relationship's going to be, like, say it is 6 years difference and she goes from 14 to 20 or whatever. She's been holding on to that moment for 6 years. If this is when we pick up with these characters, it's going to massively change them. on the surface level, it might be a little bit of the same relationship. They might be going about their business because for right now it works for both of them, especially on Ellie's side. But something might happen to where it comes out. Maybe those nurses from the hospital finally get to where they need to, and fireflies show up. I mean, I don't know. And then it eventually comes out. But I am very curious on how this all plays out because it's clear to me that Ellie 100% knows that he's lying. So
but she doesn't know what he's lying about.
That's the thing is how,
yeah.
like, what happens, you know,
Yeah.
when does she find out? How does she find out?
So all these different scenarios are going to be running through her head,
Yep.
and she's not going to know.
For 6 years.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm curious. In the game, is it 6 years?
I was going to ask, do you want to know what the time jump is?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
It's just like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, it is only a couple years. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Okay.
still,
No.
2 or 3 years, like, is.
It's a couple
Well, so-
years for that to
Yeah.
fester. Yeah.
Well, so now
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think they're going to be in a honeymoon phase for a while of like being able to relax a little bit in this
To
town.
live.
And yeah, to just like live a semi-normal life
Mhm.
because we got to look at what life is like in that town and it looked pretty sweet. So I think that checks out for an amount of time for them to kind of spend in that honeymoon period. And then it starts to really bubble up and starts to manifest itself.
Yeah.
So I think because the reason I brought it up was because obviously they're not gonna get a new actress to play her. So I'm curious if they keep the number of years on the lower end, so that way.
I mean, I think Bella Ramsey can easily do 4 years. I mean,
Mhm.
she's 19
She's
in real
19
life.
now.
So
Oh shit! Is she?
you
Yeah.
could
She just
all you
looks
have to
really
do,
young.
all you have
She's
to
like
do is
the
change.
legal age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you have to do is change her wardrobe and put some like boots on her, and she looks
but
4
never
years
mind.
older.
Yeah.
Also, my mistake. It actually is 5 years.
Oh.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's a
and
long time.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it today or not, Brian, but they did come out and say that even if Bella Ramsey said she didn't want to come back, that
They'd
they would force her to
do
come
it.
back.
Yeah.
So Bella is here to stay. For those people wondering if they're going to get a different actress, it's not happening. Like
No.
Bella
It would be
is
just
Ellie
so
going forward.
Stupid if.
Yeah.
I'm like genuinely confused that people thought like, oh, we're gonna get a different actress for. I'm
No.
like,
It's because of Game of Thrones. That's all.
I guess, but it was just like that. It was so obvious to me from the beginning. Like this person's gonna be there
Mhm.
the whole time. Like, especially since they're the main character.
Yeah.
Alex, maybe whenever we get a break from Star Wars, we can stream the second game
Never.
and then
I absolutely want to play 2. I've only played 2 once.
yeah.
I might
Maybe
have
I
only
Brian do
watched
it on
you
the
play it
eventual POV Twitch.
Maybe that's
You've
what
seen
I-
only part of it, Molly. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot you'll like in 2.
Maybe that'll be Brian's debut on Twitch for POV is playing. the last
Maybe
game.
I'd play through the first one.
Mm.
That's what I want to do. I want to
Wait, you're gonna make me start on the second one?
No, I
That's
didn't
what you
say
want?
that. No,
Oh no! Is that what you were saying? You wanted me to start on the second one?
no. What the hell? No.
Just
of
play
course
it anything. Start the POV Twitch.
not. All right. We have 2 super chats real quick. I want to get to. First one's from Tim Sim. The Mortal Kombat movie in 1995 crawled, so The Last of Us season 1 show in 2023 can fly.
What is the Super Mario Bros. Erasure?
Thank you. I love that movie, first of all.
There's definitely a lot of adaptations in that time and definitely between that time. So, Blake Quick with the next one. Thank you so much, Blake, one of our patrons. For everyone who has played part 2, who do you think, or what do you think of Florence Pugh for Abby?
I could see that. I think there are better choices.
That's
But-
Laura Bailey's character, right?
Yes.
So I said it earlier
I
in the
could
chat.
see that too. I think I'd rather go lesser known just in general.
Yeah.
I don't think Florence, and nothing against the show, but I don't think they're going to be able to afford someone like Florence Pugh for
No.
the show.
No.
On
Who
Who
top
was
of
it
paying
that
the
we were
other
talking
actors.
about?
Katie O'Brien.
Yeah. Oh, there. Okay. There's
Yeah.
a reason why everyone
Yeah.
wants Katie O'Brien to play
Uh-huh.
her.
Who is
Yeah.
this?
I mean,
There's a very good reason.
So
my opinion.
I'm going. So I told the POV chat earlier today.
Oh, I
I
love
was
her.
I was scrolling through Twitter and a picture of Abby showed up. I don't know who the character is. It was just a picture, and I scrolled really fast because I was like, I'm not looking at that.
Spoilers, no.
But I immediately went to Katie O'Brien because we just recently saw her in Ant-Man Quantumania. And then she plays an Imperial officer in The Mandalorian as well.
Mhm.
I think she'd be perfect. And she is ripped. Like, my God, is she ripped? And she looks like she would fit the character very well.
I think she's a little old for the role, but physicality, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Florence Pugh put on a bunch of muscle and play that role, but yeah, that's going to be interesting who they get for that role.
I think it'll be a no name. I think it's going to be someone brand new.
I hope so too. I think that'd be very. I mean, it would be great to have that someone that you don't have to like. You don't want the Sam Jackson effect where you're watching Sam Jackson instead of the character.
Yeah, it'll be someone brand new or someone similar to Bella, where they've only had like a single role. Like
who's a Game of Thrones act? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's plenty.
HBO does like to.
Yeah, reuse.
Yeah.
Cam, you're Shannon Barry. I could see it. I don't know who that is, but like as far as looks and stuff, I can see that.
Maddie Gunner in the chat says, "Shredded Florence Pugh. The world isn't ready."
The world is not ready.
It's true. It's true.
All right. Before we start to wrap this up, we have a little bit of conversation to do with season 2 and 3 because it hasn't come out like officially, but they have been talking about part 2 being split between 2 seasons. No reference or official word on like how much in each season, if there's going to be new story, if it's all going to be part 2. But I wanted to open that conversation up, especially for those who have played the game. So Alex, just start us off here. What would you say about part 2 being split between 2 seasons?
I don't know where they would split it. Like there's a,
like the
a clear way
cliffhanger?
they
There's
something they could definitely do.
Okay.
That would be a huge cliffhanger, but it would make season 3 very different. It basically, if they follow the exact story structure of the game, which they might do, then it would be a massive cliffhanger, and season 3 would just be
a lot.
Yeah.
It would be like 2 would be kind of short and 3 would be insane.
Oh, no. Okay, if you're... No, I don't think...
Are you guys...
I can't vaguely talk about this. I can't vaguely talk about this.
I don't know. I like you said, I only watched you play some of it.
Because I don't think you know the cliffhanger I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
So okay, let me ask this then. Could you say that they were going to go forward with two seasons for part 2? Mm-hmm. Would you be okay with them adding brand new stuff that's never been seen before to do 2 seasons of television?
Oh, sure, but also they don't need to. The second game is way longer.
Okay.
Because of the structure I'm talking about, which I'm kind of like, I think they have to follow that structure. I don't know how they could change it.
There's some like integral parts that like you can't move.
I think so. It's been 2 or 3 years. Whenever the game came out, that's the last time I played it. So it has been a while. Maybe when I play it again, I could change my tune. But just thinking back to that story, the structure was important to it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But there definitely is a spot for a big old cliffhanger.
Oh boy.
Interesting.
I'm just glad that Molly said "yee" in the chat.
Yeah, yee.
It's longer. Yee.
Chat is working again, everybody. I'm not gonna go back through the
what I
entire
also
show.
noticed? The viewer thing wasn't there either.
That's how I noticed that stream runner wasn't working, as we couldn't see how many people were watching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can.
Hi, friends.
Hello, we're back.
I'm not going back through the hour of comments to highlight everybody, so I apologize.
I'll do it. Here we go.
No. Yeah, look, I'm very curious, and it's going to be very hard because if you keep it the way HBO usually tells stories and does seasons, we're not going to see season 2 until 2025, or at the earliest late 24, like December of 24 could be like.
I have a feeling we're going to get 25.
I think 25 is probably the best bet. We have House of Dragon next year, which their 2 main shows are House of Dragon and Last of Us.
Sure, it's next year.
Yeah, They haven't. I
We
don't
did
even
a
think they've
Star
started
Wars
filming
movie
yet.
and
They haven't
Last
started
of Us
filming yet. They're not
Yeah,
filming House of the
so-
Dragon until the end of 2023.
Yeah, they're not even. They haven't even started filming that second season yet.
2025 is going to be.
So it's going to be
Damn.
hard to stay away from, obviously, spoilers, and you people watching, stay away from me with spoilers, please.
He'll get you.
I've already had enough this week, please. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm very excited to see where it goes. I know that it's not like the biggest cliffhanger in the world, but it felt like that ending was just like, worst spot to end this show right now. Worst possible spot to end this show. And we have to wait on that for at least a year and a half. So I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious. But I thought season 1 was phenomenal. It's definitely one of the best first seasons of a television show ever, in my opinion.
One of the
I thought
best
the storytelling-
episodes of television ever.
Yeah, I thought the
Yeah.
storytelling was off the charts. So
I'm like, I'm really glad to hear people loving it so much, because I was wondering if it would translate as well, not getting as much time in the game with Ellie, because I mean, you just spend so much more time with her in gameplay, where she is saving your life in countless times, because I can't find ammo, so I'm just running around like crazy and she's the one sniping. Like it does so much through gameplay to also help you help her endear herself to you, I guess. So I was wondering if there would be enough time for the show to do that as well, and I'm glad that it worked.
I did see a lot of people say that they felt like it got rushed towards the end. Like maybe we could have used one more episode, which makes sense because 9 episodes, that bugs me
What
so
a
much.
weird number, yeah.
We need that
9?
even number.
Yeah, but like
I mean, it was
if
kind
we
of
had-
10 just because the first one was an hour and 20 long.
true.
That's fair.
True.
But yeah, I get it. 9 is a weird number.
It would have been nice to have an episode between the last one and the finale, or the second to last one and the finale, just to really build up the relationship even more after such a traumatic experience. And then
It's like it follows the last few episodes really followed the game, and like I forgot again when we were playing it just a couple months ago. I was like, man, the end of this game happens so fast. It just sneaks up on you. So yeah, but they added to the show before, so they could have.
So okay, so let me ask you. My phone just popped up saying Ted Lasso is now on Apple Plus right now.
Excuse me, what?
what's up early?
They usually do
Bye,
that early on
everybody.
Apple.
Bye,
they usually do that earlier for Apple. They drop it early, yeah.
Yay!
Because you also
Believe.
have to
Watch it
think of
before tomorrow, before all the Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah, that's great news. Oh, Brian, thank you.
yeah, it's because of it's obviously based in the UK, so they want to drop it for the UK people a little early. So
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, come check us out on our next show, Banter and Biscuits.
is that official, Brian? What?
Yeah,
Is
why
that-
not?
Okay.
Get it?
I'll just make-
Banter, 'cause that's the dating app.
I'll try to make
That's a really clever name.
I'll try to make a thumbnail. All right.
I should probably
Welcome,
watch
Alex
the first
Molly, to Banter and Biscuits.
We can't do
You-
any more streaming shows.
Look, Ted is for me, and Molly, and Hilo, and Pippin if he cares to watch.
And
What were we talking about? Sorry.
You were bringing something up and you got distracted.
Yeah, you were
We're already
talking
on to
about
the next thing.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. No, I remember. So I know my brain is already Ted Lasso. So looking back at the end of this season, with how they did it, do you enjoy and think that the changes they made from the game worked in the long run for the better compared to?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything they changed either made my experience different and therefore entertaining and fun without like changing anything that Neil Druckmann wanted to say with the game. So I like that it kept me on my toes.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I didn't play the game, so I don't know how it would affect, but like I feel like this has now set the standard for video game adaptations.
I
Like,
think so too.
It's
Modern
kind
day
of like-
versions anyway.
Yeah.
They added stuff smartly because part of the reason the game is so long is because it is difficult and you die and you have to do things over and there's just a lot of gameplay. So they did lose a lot of screen time that they had to then fill up, and I thought they filled it up very smartly.
Cool.
Love it.
Cool. All right. Well, any final thoughts on season 1 of The Last of Us, guys?
I'm sad it's over.
Me too.
I'm
Yeah.
curious for those of you who didn't play the game, did you wish there had been more clickers?
A little bit.
It didn't bother me because
Mhm.
within like the first 2, maybe 3 episodes, I realized that, and the game might be different, but the story they're telling right now is much more about the relationships between the people
Yeah.
we're following rather
gonna say
than
the
the
same.
zombies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
just
the thing.
I saw a few people being like, why did they introduce that new thing with the fact that the zombies are all connected through underground whatever vines and stuff, and like that never came back? But
We got
like,
2 more
Oh, I think it
seasons.
came back. Well, it didn't come back in later
Kind of.
episodes, but it came back in episode 5.
Mhm.
I more or less just wanted to see them.
Mhm.
Like because
they're pretty.
it's just such an interesting take on zombies that it's a plant fungus instead of just like you get bit and turn into the eat brains.
I think that's a fair complaint, especially. I mean, they're a far bigger part of the game, and I
Yeah.
feel like they were like Jake said, the priority is the human relationships.
Mhm.
So instead of having like 1 or 2 clickers here or there, I think they just went hard in episode 5,
yeah.
which I loved. I thought that was great.
Here's
So
1,000 of them.
I also wouldn't be surprised if, season 1 didn't have as much budget as season 2 will have.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get more. And there's definitely a clicker.
Bricks. Oops.
More clickers,
Yeah,
more bricks.
more up the brick budget, I say. But
More
there
clickers,
is
more
an
bricks.
infected in game 2 that I'm like, we gotta see that.
And they already said that the infected are gonna be much more heavily involved in season 2, which makes sense. We have this story and then kind of do some different things with season 2. Maybe I even saw something come up. I don't know if it was official, but exploring different versions of them, maybe something that's maybe even new from the game, which could be very cool. Something new that's just for the television show.
That'd be neat.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't bother me. Like, would it have been cool? Sure. But I think we got enough of them to quench the thirst per se. And I was very happy because the show was so well done telling the story of Joel and Ellie and everything around them. I was very happy with how well that was, that it didn't take away from, I didn't think like, this isn't good enough, I need clickers. Like that was, I was so just entranced with that I just didn't need them. So
I just wanted more clicker noises.
There's
I want to say I love how much Matty Gunner is on my side with the bricks throughout the game. You can pick up bottles or bricks, and you can use them to like throw and distract clickers or people, or you can throw them at people. And I'll pick up a bottle if I have to, but the second I see a brick, I'm like, stupid bottle, give me that brick. Like it's like a security blanket. They're functionally not different at all in the game, but it feels more powerful.
more
I
bricks.
feel safer with a brick.
all right, one last super chat to close the show out. I'm the Stein. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I would like more infected next season, but in the first season, I feel we need to be eased in as an audience. I would love to explore the others I've heard about. I agree. I'm 100% with this.
Agreed.
I totally agree with what he's saying.
It was done. It was, done right. Like, I mean, it would have been.
Press has played the game.
It did, and it also did distinguish itself a little bit different from like Walking Dead, where the immediate threat was.
That's why I loved it so much. I think
Yeah.
because
It
it was
made
so
it more
different
about the
from typical
story.
stuff.
Yeah, it was more about the characters that weren't zombies, people, things, and just like Walking Dead's immediate threat for the first 3 seasons was
3 or
the
4,
actual
yeah.
zombie.
Until the
it was-
governor, pretty much. Yeah.
and then it turned into their own biggest enemy. Whereas this one is like, yeah, that enemy is there, but like people are still shitty,
Yeah.
and will do bad things. So I thought it was kind of a Because I mean, to be completely honest, I could totally see it like that happen. If this was to really happen, like people would probably be the bigger threat than
Yeah.
the zombie people.
Oh yeah.
100%.
So
100%.
yeah, it was clever. It was cool, and I have no doubt that they'll go crazy next season.
They'll
gonna be
have that
fun.
clicker budget.
It's gonna be
Isn't
fun.
it- it's like now isn't it HBO's highest show now?
Well, as of recent, it beat House of the Dragon by I think like 1 million or 2 million or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I don't know, like in their entire history, but as far as recent goes,
Yeah.
it made or it got more viewership than House of the Dragon, which is a pretty big deal. So
Yeah.
let's see how season 2 does, because they're both going to be massive in season 2 for both those shows. Sean Room, how are we doing? We're closing out, bud. You missed the show. You're gonna have to watch
Kind
the
of
replay.
wild though, because does HBO have really anything the rest of the year?
I'm sure they do.
They have some stuff coming out. Yeah.
Okay, name.
I don't think they're gonna have a
Succession.
problem. Yeah, and I'm currently catching up on Succession, which is great. So
Yeah, Gabby's flying.
very, very good show. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up our discussion for The Last of Us. This is the last time that we will be live on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, at least for the foreseeable future. We're definitely going to be back for season 2 whenever that comes, and possibly some things in between. But for now, we will just be live on Monday evenings, live for the occasional happy hour on monthly. Of course, we got tons of stuff on Patreon. Do not miss out on that. Our watch along is coming up. Our bar trivia is coming up. Very fun stuff on the Patreon. Check those all out in the description. All the links are on there. But we can do some quick plugs since this will be the last time we're doing The Last of Us. Jill, start us off. Where can everyone find you online?
Jilly Marie, 2 Y's, 2 E's on Twitter and Instagram.
Molly?
Emily Damon on Twitter, Molly Mander on Instagram, and Star Wars Explained. I'll let Alex say the rest.
You saved some for me this time. Thank you. For Star Wars Explained on YouTube and on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all of that. We'll be streaming our Mando after show tomorrow at 6 p.m. and then our Bad Batch after show / Lego build on Thursday at 6 p.m.
Who are we having on the show tomorrow?
Us.
Adam Frazier from Slash Film.
Yeah.
I love the hope, Brian. I love this. The hope. Yeah.
Already been on.
I know.
Brian, what about you?
Beavis, on Twitter and Instagram, and Goodreads. And Apocalypse, which is starting in 40 minutes.
Apocalypse movies in just a little bit. They're going to be recapping a little bit of the Oscars, but also talking some live action animated remakes, whether or not they should be happening. Qui-Gon Jake, 2 ends, because someone else took it before I did. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, check that out. Laserbolt, there's a possibility of some Ted Lasso talk. We're still trying to work that out.
If I have my
We could
way,
be
then
seeing
yes.
that. We'll definitely let you know if that does happen. But for now, just stay tuned here on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're commenting, enjoying the content. And we will be back here on Monday evening for our live show. Until next time, guys. See you later.
Bye.